college athletics?
I think, look, we've obviously spent a bunch of time in Washington over the past couple of years talking about some of our issues, and the issues that we have really boil down to sort of three big things. One is we have more than 40 states now that have laws that relate to how college sports works in their states, most of which are designed to give special standing to the schools in their states. It's hard now for conferences, not to mention the NCAA, to create a level playing field. The second issue that we spend a fair amount of time talking about is employment, which is not news to anybody. And I think, honestly, on that one, we've made a fair amount of progress, mostly because a lot of schools have explained to the folks in Washington about what the consequences of that might be for their schools, their sports programs, and everything else. And the third's really been about some sort of limited liability. And I think eligibility is a really good example of that. We won a case this morning in South Carolina around eligibility. We've probably won more of those than we've lost, but they just create such uncertainty for schools, student athletes, everybody around how this is all supposed to work. And I guess I think the fact that there's an interest in on the executive side on this, I think it speaks to the fact that everybody is paying a lot of attention right now to what's going on in college sports. There is a lot going on. That's not all bad, and I'm up for anything that can help us get somewhere.
Have you been consulted to be on whatever commission that may come out of this or panel that may come out of this?
I know people in our office have talked to folks who are working on this thing, but I don't think they've decided yet sort of what the framework around who they want to put on it.
Do you feel confident that you satisfied the objections in your latest brief? I know you can never know how the judge is going to rule.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think for the most part, the proposal we made pretty much takes us back to the status quo before, which I think was pretty consistent with the language the judge used in her order.
Do you think that the presidential commission will enhance your chances with the legislative branch in making progress?
I don't have a crystal ball on that one. I don't know. I do think, though, that it's quite clear at this point that there are a lot of people who are interested in college sports. And we do need some help at some point to create some clarity around some of these issues in Washington, that creating clarity one lawsuit at a time is just a really bad way to try to move forward.
How much communication have you had with the power conferences? They put together their own enforcement arm with NIL and everything, July 1st. And
well,
how do you see that, the communication going forward?
Well, keep in mind that that's part of the court process, right? I mean, the plaintiffs wanted to have that kind of a structure put in place as something that came out of it because they wanted the ability to hold all of us accountable. Because you're now going to, if that actually happens, right? So I'm speculating a little bit here. But the notion was to have an entity in place that would be overseen by the court, the plaintiffs would have their eyes on it, and the defendant conferences would be charged with implementing and managing it. And I certainly think that's something we'll have to work with on a coordinated basis. But on some level, if the whole thing gets approved, that could be a really nice way. And it has an arbitration process, and it can do fact-finding. I mean, there's a lot to like about that.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.